I was hired to be an undercover shopper to get him the best deal on the bass that just happened to be at my local music store. Let's go on an adventure. Welcome back, Troglodytes, to your daily dose of guitar information, the Trogly's Guitar Show. So we've got kind of an interesting episode here today. I was contacted on Reverb by a Mr. Bachman, and it just so happened that he was trying to buy an instrument that was located at the one and only music store in my town. But he said he was having some issues with the seller just not responding to his messages. He had called him a few times, sent him some messages on Reverb, but he apparently just never heard back from the shop. So he was wondering if he could pay me to go to the shop, haggle the seller down, and then ship it to him. So we agreed on $525 to get the job done. We got the money. If there's one thing to know about my little town that I live in, there is not a huge music scene here. And this one music store has been the only one that's ever been here for such a long time. They opened in 1983. It appears to mainly just be run by one guy, but he also has teachers that teach music lessons between piano, guitar, a bunch of stuff. It's a nice little store if you're into mid-grade or lower level instruments. I'm talking like $500 is usually the most expensive guitar in this shop. So I don't find myself in here too often. I think the last time it was actually in February when I bought some nylon strings to make this video. This is actually the store where my original Excel Stratocaster came from when my sister bought it. But since I had never actually purchased a higher end instrument at this store, I didn't know how flexible he would be with his price, but I knew I had a budget that was relatively tight to get this purchased, get my commission, and also pay the shippers to get it to where it needs to go. So to make this video a little bit more interesting than just telling you the tale, I thought I'd record my purchasing and haggling experience at this shop. So what I've done is I threw my GoPro in the inside pocket of my jacket, which is this view right here, and I had my phone recording just kind of in my hand. It's a bunch of shaky, not very good footage, but I thought it would make an adventure out of this.
There and down there where the strings are. And
Skis. Hey, how you doing?
If you like Ibanez guitars, this shop definitely has you covered. I actually asked him last year why he doesn't have Fender or Gibson, because he used to have Fender guitars in here. And he said it's because he couldn't afford the minimum purchase amounts on every order. There's just not the local market in this town. All things considered, this bass was actually in pretty good shape. I could tell by his Reverb listing that it's at least sat in the shop for 1 year, probably even longer than that. But since there's not high foot traffic in this store, thankfully there weren't a bunch of nicks, dings, or gouges out of it. I mean, it's very similar to what a brand new one would be condition-wise. Even the strings weren't in that bad of shape. So it took me a minute or two to find a bass amp and a cable to plug it in, but then I decided to test it out while I was waiting for him to finish up with that other customer. Just checking out this bass.
shopping for a bass for yourself?
Yeah, I'm just looking at a couple of them here, seeing which one would be the best.
Yeah.
You think it'd be possible to get this one down to 300 plus tax?
You see, that's a pretty one.
Yeah.
It's got active electronics. Wow, 300. That's since we started 5.6. There's no way I'm gonna get that. a good one too.
So the opening lowball offer didn't work out too well for me, but to get my commission and be able to pay for shipping, the most I could pay would be about $380. The next thing the shopkeeper told me wanted me to bust out laughing though.
There was a guy that trying to buy that online
Oh yeah?
a couple days ago. Took a walk.
He said he walked on it?
Yeah, well, it's a ridiculous offer.
I found that funny because I actually got paid more than retail price to do all this, but I think some of that is he just wanted to have a video about this guitar out there as well, so I can provide some extra added value. But let's see how the rest of the negotiations went.
And the list, that's actually $5.99.
Well, I see them online everywhere else, $4.49. And
That's the minimum advertised price.
Yeah. I actually saw one advertised at $3.49, but I saw that yesterday. Couldn't find it again today.
You want to pay what, 300?
That's what I was looking for.
I can't, that's a little, I'm paying more than that for it.
You think we could get like maybe $3.25?
Well, you know, I'd probably go, probably about $365.
Is that the out the door price?
Yeah, we got sales tax. That's giving it away. That's the $26.46, $391.
Does it have a case or anything with it?
No.
$391 and some odd cents. It's just a few dollars more than we wanted to pay, but that's like right on budget. Everybody's happy here. The music store makes money. They get rid of a bass that they couldn't sell for over a year. I get my commission, get to make a fun little video like this, and most importantly, the bass is going to a great loving home. The shop owner even included a box in for me, so that was a nice little touch since he didn't have a case or a gig bag, so I was pretty happy with this experience. I didn't know what to expect when going into all this.
Yeah, we didn't quite get it as cheap as I was looking for, but it's a local business. You gotta be nice to them, right?
So what exactly is this bass anyways? In case you missed it on the screen, it is a Soundgear by Ibanez SR-400EQM. And the reason why the buyer wanted this is it was a little bit hard to find in this purple space burst finish. So here we go, let's take an inside look on this bass. It has a very sculpted body to it. I mean, it's very rounded on all the edges. And you have a quilty maple veneer that sits on top of a bodywood that I had never actually heard of before this bass. It's spelled N-Y-A-T-O-H, Nyato, something like that. But I guess it doesn't really matter too much what the bodywood's made of if you're just seeing this beautiful quilty maple veneer. Your black shielding paint in both cavities as well as your grounding tabs. But the pickups have the name Power Span. And the feature I really liked about this is it actually has springs as well as foam blocks to help set the height of your pickups. Usually you get one or the other. With this one you get both. But they just have some numbers on a little sticker to identify them. With 2 rolls of pull pieces on the front. And those just mount to the body with these 2 screws. There's no pick guard or anything, so it's just all about that purple space burst finish. As far as the bridge goes, it is a 4-string bass here. You adjust the action with these little Allen keys to go up and down, but this bridge just secures by these 6 screws right there. And it seems to be a pretty decent quality. But if you're interested in this bass, it's probably because you like the 3-band EQ system that Ibanez has on here. So this guy right here is master volume, and this is your pickup selector switch, so you can blend between the neck over here, and then the bridge and any combination in between. But then you have the bass boost and cut, the mid boost and cut, as well as the treble boost and cut. And then right here is something called the power tap switch. So you can go from a regular tap to a power tap to the pickups in series. I'm not going to say I know exactly what each of those are doing, but we'll try to get a sound sample of each. And then the output jack on this is rather interesting. I probably would have preferred it to be on the side, but it's just kind of recessed into the front of the body right there. So you have to make sure you have a straight lead to plug this one in. But besides the weird bodywood and the beautiful top, you have a Jatoba fretboard, which we've seen on other Ibanez guitars that I've reviewed in the past with Trade Tuesday. And this one looks pretty nice after I cleaned it and oiled it. It's got a lot of wood grain to it. And the spec sheets say these are medium frets, so I'm guessing medium jumbos with white dot inlays. Another cool feature about this is you also have the quilted maple veneer over the headstock. And the headstock reads SDGR for Soundgear by Ibanez. And one of the coolest thing about Ibanez guitars is this. You can access your truss rod without actually unscrewing the plate. Makes my job a little bit easier. So as far as neck specs, you get 1.47 inches at the nut, then it gets super wide, 2.11 at the 12th. First fret neck depth rather thin, 0.78, and it stays pretty thin, 0.85 at the 12th. And it appears these guys are going after a 34-inch scale length. Moving on to the back here, this backwood actually has some pretty nice wood grain to it. It definitely matches well with this purple burst finish, but it is a bolt-on neck, but there is no neck plate, and it kind of carves out of your way right there, so it is actually super comfortable to play. And as far as the electronics go, yeah, there's a whole bunch of stuff in here. But I think we were already expecting that with an active controlled bass, but the pickups themselves are actually passive. And here you can see how that output jack works. That's kind of interesting. But all this appears to operate on a quick connect system. It must not be too hard for the factory to put these things together. It's just all pre-made and ready to go. And then here's the battery control, which I thought it was kind of interesting. Sometimes these mount with screws on the outside, but these ones actually mount with screws on the inside. So it's kind of like another pickup cavity right here. It reads B, likely for battery cavity. The back plate has shielding on it, and you also have shielding paint on the inside there. The strap buttons are kind of interesting right there. They're kind of like that large style that sometimes you'll find on Gibson, but a little bit different. They also have those little felt washers under them too to help them stay super secure. So despite having kind of a weird body wood, it's a really cool neck here. So it's got a satin finish on it, but it's a maple walnut maple sandwich here. So this is going to be a super strong neck. And I love it when Gibson uses these back in the 70s and 80s. Sometimes you can find it on modern days too. And these guys even have a volute on the back here to make them even stronger. But something that's a little bit strange here is they install the tuners kind of crooked. But I think that's by design. It's to make it match the headstock or something. But I don't know. I think I would have just preferred them to be straight. But that's just an aesthetic choice. But these guys appear to be made in Indonesia. And here's our serial number. This bass weighs 7 pounds, 12.1 ounces. Let's go ahead and plug it in and hear how it sounds. Now that we know the story and all about this instrument, what are my final thoughts on this thing? I was pleasantly surprised. I didn't really know what to expect on a $400 bass. I've had a few in like the low 100s to $200 range, and they were always, okay basses, but this thing impressed me. At the price point, they retail at $449. You can talk them down as I just showed you, but imagine picking one of these things up used for like $300. It has a lot of value for the money. I thought it sounded pretty good for a bass. You've got all these controls for treble, bass, and mid boosts and cuts. You've got 3 different options for each pickup selection, and you can select in between all the pickups. It really is quite a versatile bass, and I would definitely consider owning one of these if I needed a bass in my life. But sometimes with instruments in this price range, the veneer tops won't actually move, they'll just be pictures. This is actually a real wood veneer. It moves within the different lighting situations. So this one gets an A+ in looks, and I would say a solid A in the way that it plays and feels. I had to do a little bit of a setup. The action was actually set up too low. The neck actually had some upwards bow in it, believe it or not, so I had to add a little bit of relief in here, and that helped the buzzing immensely. This is a fantastic playing bass. Ibanez really does know how to make great mid-tier level guitars. Even that RGRT electric guitar that I had in the Trey Tuesday series, that was a fantastic guitar for the price. And I almost forgot to blacklight this one, but I'm glad I didn't, because this finish is really cool under blacklight. On top of that, the white inlays also glow, but take a look at this. So cool. So I hope you guys enjoyed this slightly less than usual episode. It's fun to take you guys behind the scenes sometimes. Alright, thank you Troglodytes for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and we will see you tomorrow on the next episode. Take care.